Hey, what's up, guys? So, today, what I want to do is talk a little bit about the motor that is finally out. And the motor I'm talking about is the F40 Pro V4s from Tmotor. I've been flying this motor for the last couple of months now, testing it out for them, giving feedback and things of that nature. And I personally really like this motor. There's a lot to be said about the motor, and I've always liked the premium side of Tmotor's lineup, which is the F60 and F40s. I've been flying the F40s in particular for the last couple of years now. So I wanted to kind of share with you a few of the specs. We'll talk about the weight, and we'll just talk about flying characteristics from the 4S side, the 6S side, and kind of give you an overview of what that type of experience is like if you're looking at either one of those motors. The 2400 kV motor is tailored towards 4S in particular. The 1950 kV is tailored towards 6S. And have flown both. Back when I used to fly 4S, the 2400 kV was really good and it was really powerful. And don't let the kV fool you, because yeah, it just felt so good in the air with the right prop. So I've been flying that motor for like, I don't know, since January with 4S. Pretty awesome. Recently, I switched over to 6S and I've been flying the 1950 kV motors, and I've been tinkering around with different kV for my 6S setup, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a next video or another video. But from my experience, a lot of pilots, a lot of freestyle pilots kind of go into that 1750 to, let's say, 1800 kV range. And when they sent me these motors, I kind of was expecting to fall in that same bucket. But as I continued to use these motors, they just felt so good in the air. And they didn't really, from an amp drop perspective, it really wasn't that significant because I've been testing out different kV motors of theirs. So the 1950 kV to me is the perfect kV for the type of flying that I like to do. And really, from a characteristics perspective, it feels like it spools up the prop really well. So there's not that much prop wash per se, which that's a big thing I really do look for, is the motor powerful enough to help with prop wash. And this one is, and it's really powerful, and it's really good at the low end of your throttle curve with the right prop. I fly the S3 props from HQ, and I found that to be the best combo. On the higher end, when you hit your throttle, a 1750 kV just feels a little bit lacking there. So with the 1950 kV, it's very leveled with the S3 prop. So the same pop you would get on the lower end is still available on the higher end of the throttle curve, which is what I like. I really do like that, and that's one of the reasons why I probably will switch all my 6S quads to these 1950 F40 Pro V4s. So that's a big thing from a flight characteristic perspective that I like flying. So I think that answers kind of what I've experienced from a flight aspect. I'm going to jump into what you get with the motor, talk a little bit about the weight, and just expound upon the design a little bit, because I think that needs to be talked about, because I think they made some significant changes. So we'll jump to that real quick. I guess the biggest thing that you need to consider is the weight. If you look at any motor, you have to look at the weight, because the weight adds up when you have 4 of these things across the arms. And I in particular don't like heavier motors, and I've really stuck to the F40 class, just because the F60 class is a taller motor, generally a little bit heavier, and the F40s are a little bit more low profile, and a little bit more wider. So that's kind of generally the difference between the F40s and F60s. And the biggest difference here is the weight. The weight is crazy good for what this motor is and how durable it is. So I got a scale right here, and I'm going to put this on the scales to give you guys your own view of this. And this is going to be with full wires, with the nut and all that stuff. So let me move this over. Okay, we're at zeroed out. There we go. Okay, so we're at 31 grams. That's full length wires. If you trim some of this wire, so these are pretty long wires, you would probably sit around 30 grams or so, based on what my scale says, which is pretty awesome for any motor, especially really premium motors. So that is the biggest thing I like about this motor, is that it just reduces the weight. The shaft right here used to be really long, and you know, we recently migrated to thinner profile props, and you know, in particular the S3s I always use. It was really a pain to get the S3 props on and then take them back off, just because of the length of the shaft, as well as the screw being dug inside of the shaft. So when you put on a prop, in particular these low profile props, I think Tmotor has their own prop. HQ has the same type of profile. These thinner profile props that we've recently migrated to, they just don't. We don't need the extra shaft headroom here. So I'm glad they trimmed it down and made it more low profile. The other piece is the star design. I felt like this star design, this motor in particular, has been really durable from the construction. I've been flying this since about, God, I want to say they got me some prototypes in January maybe, and yeah, I've been bashing them in, and literally, yeah, I haven't replaced the belt, I haven't replaced the motor. These things are durable, really durable, and it hasn't been a lack of me trying to break them, because that's basically why I try to fly as hard as I can with these prototypes to see if they have any weaknesses or anything of that nature. But all in all, it is very durable. It is very durable. So that kind of talks a little bit about the construction of the motor. I enjoy it. We have curved magnets and all that good stuff. Very common, but this is the 1950 kV. I've been flying these for the last couple of days. Awesome. 2400 kV ones, pretty awesome as well. No difference except the kV. Alright guys, so hopefully that answered a few of your questions with the new motor from Tmotor. Really awesome motor. Tmotor keeps making these crazy good motors. If you have any questions about the motor in particular, leave them below or leave them in the comment section. And I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. That's about it. As for the question I'm getting asked, I'm going to talk a little bit about my 6S setup in the next video, hopefully. And I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of what the components are that I'm using, as well as my PIDs, my settings, my rates, everything and anything that you would need to basically build yourself an identical setup. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I've been caught up in this life, don't speak my mind enough. I'm trying to keep pushing on me,